Good morning, good morning. Welcome to After Talks with Anthony Tim. We're going to have a simple conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we mental health conversation and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being. However, in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about mental health, self-awareness, how understanding yourself leads to better emotional health, right? So I really want us to take in consideration that understanding your emotions doesn't mean controlling it. It means listen to what they're telling you, right? So what's coming from yourself? What's deriving from yourself, right? It's really good to be knowing what's going on with who, yourself, right? However, let's dive into some quick research, right? So self-awareness is a foundational component of emotional intelligence and is strongly linked to mental health and emotional regulation from the APA. When it comes to the National Institute of Mental Health, increased self-awareness supports healthier coping strategies, reduced stress, and improved decision-making, right? So awareness is the first step. We really got to know what's really going on. I always off the rip will let y'all know is I always advocate for that journal, right? So back in the days, I was telling myself, hey, right, no, damn diary, what I look like. I mean, but for me, I had to navigate throughout my situation, my life, and allowed me to be the individual I am today. I put a lot of work in, and by being in tune with yourself really makes a difference. So I really want to advocate for that because I'm not going to sit here and tell you to do something I ain't doing it. You know what I mean? I got journals on journals at the crib, and it does make the difference, right? However, in the first segment, let's talk about what mental health self-awareness is, right? So our first key concept, we're gonna be talking about emotional awareness, right? So recognizing and naming emotions as they arise, right? You wanna know what's going on. That's what I'm saying. But get the pen, get a pencil, right? And put a name to it. It's gonna be able to help you understand what's going on. You also wanna think about the thought patterns, so identifying habitual thinking styles that influence your mood and your behavior, right? So what's going on in regards to your thoughts. We have behavioral awareness, right? So understanding how your emotions affect, your actions and your reactions, right? I don't want someone to trick you outside your position, so that's why it's always good to really kind of have, time where you're able to examine your conscience, do that reflection work, right? In other words, mindfulness, to really see what's really going on, so you're able to have proactive behaviors for yourself rather than being situations where, like I said, someone tricking you outside your position, and now you're in some situation you're like, damn, why am I here right now? You feel me? But also too, we have mind and body connection, right? So noticing physical sensations that are linked to emotional states such as tension, fatigue, right? So there could have been a moment where someone said something and it made you feel anxious. You have anxiety that's rushing through your body. Now you're sweaty, you have sweaty palms. Like, where does this come from? Why did this happen, right? So identifying that, writing that thing down, the date, the time, really putting a name to it. And there may be a conversation that you need to have with your work, establishment, to really kind of figure out like someone got to watch their mouth, right? So, but these are things when we advocate for ourselves, when we spend the time to really examine ourselves, what we don't like, what we do like, right? And we're able to put a name to it when we apply ourselves, like I said, a little of that journal time. Next segment, we're going to be talking about why self-awareness matters for our mental health, right? So off rip, we're going to be talking about that improved emotional regulation. Awareness allows individuals to respond rather than just react. Like I said, we really want to be, in a situation where we can regulate ourselves, right? So no one can sit here and trick us out of our position. No one can manipulate you, control you. You have full awareness and you have full control on your decision making, and you know how to respond in a right, appropriate way. Next is going to be that stress management. So recognizing these signs early can help us prevent that emotional overload, right? That burnout. We do not want to be taught from the floor up. So this is going to be able to help us with that self-awareness. We also have healthier relationships. So understanding emotional improves our communication and our empathy. We're able to see through the line. We're able to, be highly in tune with ourselves. We know what's going on, right? So we know our own urges. When you know yourself, you're more confident. You know what I mean? You have self-awareness. You have that self-esteem because you went through it and you're working on ways to build yourself up, right? So this helps you understand other people, where they're at, right? And it also helps you to, pour into them. It also helps you to kind of back off when you need to allow yourself to kind of get back to your groove, right? So this helps healthy relationships, right? In that dynamic. We also have reduced anxiety and depression. So self-awareness supports early intervention and coping, right? So by trying to the earlier that you spend time to focus on yourself, right? I always advocate to mind your business. Don't worry about what other people got going on. Don't compare yourself to other people got going on. Don't compare if someone that got money, they got this, they got that, all this materialized. Listen, it don't matter, right? You don't know the person, what they got going on, right? So your self-awareness matters. So make sure that you're highly in tune with what you got going on. What is your urges? What are you depressed about? What is you anxious about, right? What do you worry about, right? All these things, like, you want to have that insight in regards to yourself. So once again, I really want to advocate, so if you can, spend some time to really write these things down, spend time with yourself and be consistent with these things, and things will grow in the works, in the magic, in that sense. However, next segment, let's talk about that barriers to self-awareness, right? So we have emotional avoidance, right? So fear of discomfort can lead to ignoring or suppressing our emotions. We have chronic stress. High stress levels make reflection and awareness more difficult, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Everybody's, things may be difficult in regards to, like I said, the self-awareness, but these are barriers. So I understand, like, everybody's going to be in different situations in their life, right? We also have negative self-talk, so harsh inner dialogue can distort emotional understanding, right? So if someone also too is coming from a dysfunctional dynamic and someone really didn't give you those affirmations, they didn't pour positivity on you, they didn't affirm you, right? You may have a negative mindset because you've been talking to yourself and you're comforted in that way. So this is a barrier to that as well. We also have lack of education, right? So many people that are not taught how to identify or manage their emotions are usually caught in the sauce, right? So this is why these are barriers, but there's also ways we're able to maneuver and we're able to achieve, right, with the proactive personal development. This is what we're here for. This is what we do, right? So I really want you guys to spend time to not just listen to the information, but really proactively apply the information to your life. So positively, change your mindset, use positive words, right? We know the power of the tongue. We can use it to cause destruction and pull ourselves down, or we can use it to glorify ourselves up and pull ourselves up, right? There's light in the tunnel, right? So we got to really be able to have a positive mindset to navigate through with this practice, with this work, right? Next segment, we're going to be talking about them techniques to build that mental health self-awareness, right? So like I said, we're able to work through this with that practice. First practice is going to be that mindfulness practice, right? So paying attention to your thoughts and your feelings without that judgment, right? Like I said, for us out there that's coming from these dynamics of dysfunction, the negativity, right? We have a lot of shame, we have a lot of judgment, but let's look at ourselves in a new light, all right? We have an opportunity to really think positive. You went through that, right? It was a different time before, but it's a different time now. Let's be able to kind of sprinkle that positivity over ourselves without having any shame. Let's be compassionate. Let's love ourselves in this matter, right? Let's also, like I said, implement that journaling, right? So write about those emotions. That helps clarify these patterns and these triggers, so you're able to have better insight within yourself. Emotional check-ins, right? So regular, time to ask yourself, and it is normal to talk to yourself, right? You're gonna be spending a lot of time with yourself regardless, right? So it's better to get yourself in tune with yourself as early as possible. Boost yourself up, talk to yourself, look yourself in that mirror when you're brushing your teeth. Like really speak positivity, joy, and affirm yourself, right? So those emotional check-ins, right? So what am I feeling right now and why? Talk to yourself, body awareness, right? So noticing those physical cues that are linked to the emotional states, right? So, when you're feeling anxious, you're feeling happy, you're feeling up, like really know what's really going on. Like how you, like really be in tune with yourself, right? And if you're liking that vibration of that happiness, let's continuously kind of keep seeking that, right? We have a choice to, set the programming of our day. When we wake up, we can either be miserable, talk from the floor up and stay here and be like, all right, I'm just keep the channel like this, or we could turn our channel to another channel and have a little peace of mind, have happiness, right? And have, like we got to be aware of ourselves and our body, right? And trying to figure out proactive ways to improve if possible, right? Therapeutic support, right? So we have counseling that is able to help us guide us through this reflection and our emotional state of mind, right? And figure out different skills and treatment goals for us to work through, so we're able to have better self-awareness, right? Well, like I said, that journal is going to help you be in tune with who? You. So like I said, if possible, get that pencil or get that pen. Next segment, we're going to dive into using self-awareness to improve daily life, right? So this helps us with better decision-making, emotional insights, support healthier choices, right? I don't want someone, like I keep mentioning, someone to trick you outside your position, you do something that you regret, right? So this is going to help us be in tune with us, so we're able to navigate ourselves to get where we want to be. We have boundary setting, so awareness helps individuals recognize those limits and communicate their needs, right? So this is going to help you have better relationships because you're going to know how to communicate with other people better in a healthier way, right? We all know when you talk to someone disrespectful, you're going to get a disrespectful response, right? When you talk to someone assertively with respect, it's going to be much better for you, right? It's not showing, you're showing someone who you truly are in that sense, right? You want to show people that good light and be authentically in that light, right? So boundary setting is going to allow you to respect yourself and say yes for you while you say no to them, right? This is going to keep that line, and having that awareness is going to help you recognize, once again, those limits and communicate your needs. Next is going to be those, coping skills. So identifying your emotional triggers allows you to proactively cope, with those strategies that you know. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So keep using what's beneficial for you. This also helps with personal growth, right? So self-awareness fosters resilience, adaptability, and emotional strength. So this is something that's going to be able to not just improve your daily functioning, but even just your life in general. So as you're navigating through life, it's going to help you with, a lot of things by just having, that self-awareness and being tuned in with yourself, right? So coming to a close, right? Knowing yourself is important, but this also is something that's gonna be able to support your mental health. Self-awareness is not just about perfection. It's about understanding yourself with honesty and with compassion. You gotta be kind to yourself. You gotta love yourself, right? You went through whatever you went through, right? But you're still able to get to the other side with that positive mindset. But let's talk about some research before we wrap it up, right? So developing self-awareness improves, like I said, that emotional regulation, that mental health, well-being, right? And interpersonal functioning, like I said, those relationships with other people, understanding yourself or understanding others as well, And understanding your inner experiences empowers you to care for your mental health more effectively, right? So when you know better, you're gonna do better, right? So if you found this video beneficial, share if possible, give it a thumbs up, And I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, take it easy.